let's see I don't know what cloud this is recording to, but
I think I just go to your email. That's
I would hope.
Yeah.
I'll just log into the school system or something. And I shouldn't have said that on the recording, but
they're like, oh, we know now. And then we're just gonna take it halfway through here, it just cuts out, and then we got no more.
Somebody like the dean of the school just hops on the live or something.
Yeah. He's like, hey guys,
jumps in the meeting.
What's going on here? Huh? What's going on?
He goes, I remember you graduating in December. What's going on here?
Where did you graduate from?
So I went to IUPUI. It was a Division I college in Indianapolis, Indy in the U.S. Played soccer there for 5 years. I had a lot of problems with injuries, so I think I missed probably over half of my career with various ankle, knee, groin, hamstring, back, shoulder, foot, whatever. But so I graduated in December 2021 with finance, and then some math minors and some other things. But it was a great experience having teammates and playing at a high level. Competition like that, and to travel around, play some big schools, it was a tremendous experience. And even though I wish I wasn't hurt for that whole time, being hurt got me where I am now. So on this call with all the ATG guys, that's where I went to school. Nice. Same place as Derek, Mr. Infinity, played basketball actually.
Oh, get out. No way.
Yeah.
Obviously not at the same time. Yeah.
No, like 20 year gap, but he played basketball there. I played soccer there. It's a weird connection.
Yeah, that's nice. Especially like America being such a big place, like to have someone within that same, I guess, hemisphere of ATG stuff, and to be part of that it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I remember I was on a call with some of the ATG guys, and they were kind of running through things, and they were like, tell me about yourself. I was like, yeah, I played here. You guys probably don't know. And I explained it, and he's like, I think that's where Mr. Infinity played basketball. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Like nobody outside of Indiana had ever heard of it. But yeah, it's true. He's not from Indiana. I don't know where he's from, but he came in. It's coincidence.
Nice. I had heaps of people, like from back when I was a kid. There heaps of people from Australia go over to America. Like they'd have these college guys come over, and they'd sit down and they'd talk with you, and they'd like go, oh, pay this much money and we can get you to this college. And then you'd kind of like rock up there and be like, oh, I never did it, I never went, but I heard of some stories of like you'd rock up there and it'd be like, where am I? Like, what? This is not what the picture looks completely different to what you said. It's just like, my parents just paid $5,000 for this. Did you get many like Aussie kids or anything like that come over?
No, I don't. I can't off the top of my head think of any Australian kids, but I might have just not noticed or not about it. Yeah, I might have just not noticed, but I can remember there were a lot of African kids, and then there was quite a few UK, and then we got some Scandinavian, Spanish, a lot of Brazilians, quite a few South American, but I can't recall any Australian players, which is a little bit weird, but
none of the good ones,
Yeah, you guys were too good to come play college with us. You all went straight to the pros. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Awesome. That's really, really cool. Like to have a quick little backstory about yourself.
Yeah, tell me. Let's hear your story, because I know you've got quite the past.
The last, probably the last 10, 11 years has been a bit of a joy. It has actually been a bit of a joy. I've had lots of time spent on the sidelines for me, because I've had 4 total knee surgeries. 3 were ACL reconstructions. 1 on my right, or 2 on my right, and then one on my left. And I spent so much time off the field, like, so I can relate to how you're feeling. I spent so much time off the field and just watching for what was probably 2.5, 3 years of my prime, I guess you can say. So the first rupture was in 2011 and then 2013, and then I re-ruptured again in 2021 or 2020. And I'm actually walking around now with no ACL, which I heard is a bit of a club down at ATG, which is pretty cool. So that's why I want to get involved more and more, so I can surround myself with like-minded individuals. So I've spent probably the last 5 to 6 years straight out of school. I didn't go to uni. I didn't study. I didn't do anything like that. I actually had done my first ACL in year 12, and I spoke to my parents and I sat down and I'm like, I can't go and do like more. Like year 12 was hard enough for me as it is. Like I had ACL reconstruction, I had appendicitis, I had glandular fever, like all in that 1 year. So it was just like, it was a nightmare. But it's made me the person I am today. So I'm definitely thankful for it happening to me. And like you mentioned, if it didn't happen to you, you wouldn't be on the path that you're on. So from there, I did my rehab. I actually played with the Adelaide United youth team. So I think MLS, this is just like the B squad to that. And played a couple of games there, and then in training ruptured my left side. Went straight into surgery 7 days later. And then from there, I had quite a lengthy spell without doing my ACL. But I did actually have like a workplace accident where I was laboring and a blade went straight through into my knee, sliced, like, I think just there was a little bit of my medial hanging on. And so they had to go in and stitch it back up again. And yeah, so that was that one. From there, like with my rehabs, so I had the first one that was in 2011, took me probably 11 months, 10 and a half months. And then I came back and started playing football again. The next one, I was just determined and I was driven, and I came back in 6 months, and I pushed myself really, really hard. And, you have people around you saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like you have to have 12 months. That's what physios and all that are saying. And people, family are saying, oh, you're going to quit soccer now, you're going to quit sport. And I was just like, I feel comfortable like with myself that I can get it done. So I did, and I came back completely focused and driven. But obviously, like, because I'd spent, like, it was like a quick turnaround, a quick change. It's just like that time was just focused on that. I had not really focused on actually getting back into the soccer stuff. So like I was real stiff and slow and everything like that too. But in all of that, I never ever had any muscular tears, any muscular strains, nothing. It was just ligaments. And then from there, I think it was 2020 actually, I re-ruptured my right one. That was from a tackle. So the first two were just non-contact. The second one, or the third one, was a tackle. And I knew straight away that I had done it. So it was like almost instant. I'm just getting straight back into rehab mind again. And I had done a heap of research, obviously, beforehand from the previous ones, and found out that there were like a number of ways that I could actually have the reconstruction done. And I went in to see the surgeon and I said, listen, I want to go with this. And it was like a quadriceps tendon because I had no hamstring tendon left to reuse again. I'd already used them. And he said, yeah, cool, no worries. We'll just do some scans. We'll check out what's going on, and we'll see what we can do. And if we can use that, awesome. Did the scans, so MRI and a CT scan. And the CT scan actually showed that the way that the screw was positioned in my tibia, over time it shakes around. And as it shakes around from all the force, it actually makes the hole bigger. So where the screw's gone in. And he said, listen, if we go in there and we actually replace the ACL with a new graft, what's probably going to happen, and the analogy he used is like you've got like a massive hole and the screw size is significantly smaller than that hole. So what's going to happen is the graft's not going to sit in properly. And so the chance of re-rupture is like 50-50. And I'm like, well, I don't really like those odds. So I'm not going to do that. And he said, listen, what we can do is we'll actually go in and we'll take out the ACL. We'll clean up the joint, take out the ACL, and we'll give you 6 months of just focusing on the rehabilitation side without the ACL. He was very, very confident, and I felt actually really, really confident as well. And from there, like I was just squatting and deadlifting and doing everything I could. This was just pretty much at the end of this is when I came to ATG as well. So came back 6 months later, and he said, wow, far out. Like, look at the size of those quads. I'm like, oh, thank you. I pride myself on those quads. And he asked me, listen, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't want to have surgery. I wanted to ask his opinion on going back to play, and he said he wouldn't recommend it. I said, cool, I appreciate that. Went back and played anyway. And so played, when I came back, I played in 2 weeks. I played four and a half games in 2 weeks. So we had my first game back. It was a cup game, and I went to extra time and penalties. I missed a penalty in that one, so that kind of lingered on me. But our first game back, couldn't believe I lasted that long. Then went into the next week, played again. Then the next week played again. Then the next week played again. Or the next, sorry, it was like a back to back double headers in the week, and then I experienced after all that, I experienced my first tibial dislocation. And so what ended up happening is my tibia went into a tackle in training. We played a game against the under-18s, and you know what the young kids are like, you know, because you're a young kid. They're like all overzealous, and they want to like prove and show what's going on. And I went into a tackle, and he collided knees with me, and my tibia actually dislocated, and then it came back in again. And that was the start of my tibial dislocations. And that, without going too much into it, was pretty much the end of, or the beginning of the end, because my last game, which was probably 7 or 8 weeks later, because I came back and played after that again, I ended up just receiving the ball and went to turn and pass to someone else, and like it's like someone just shot me, and I just fell out of the sky. And I dislocated my tibia again, and then that was it. It was pretty much all over. So from then, it was like a really cruel realization, because it happened, you know, like when I didn't expect it. I mean, there were little signs that it was coming, but you know what you want to do. You want to just try and push them away, because you want to play as much as you can. And so for me, it's been from then, like just before then, I started with like just following Ben, following the ATG style. And then that's when we kind of like got into it more and more and more. I mean, I'm a personal trainer as well. I'm not just doing this kind of with my own back. So I've done my certificates and personal training and everything like that, and then working towards my level 1 and level 2 with ATG. But yeah, that's I guess it took about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but that's me in a nutshell with all the injuries that I've had. But I think what I'm trying to really get out to people is that when things like this happen, there's always reasons, and there's always ways around it as well. And you can keep kind of like trying to force your way through the wall. For me, it was just continue to try and play soccer. But then I came to the realization that, like, you know, maybe this is not the path for me anymore. And I guess it takes a while. You have people telling you along the way, but then it's like, no, you've got some other options. And then that's when ATG presented itself.
So give people a little context. So how old are you now, and how old were you when these kind of various, I don't want to call them milestones, but major events happened?
Yeah. So year 12, well, I'm 28 now. Year 12 was 17. So I was 17 years old. Then I think I was 19 or 20 for the next one. And then the last one was 25 or 26. So like there was a massive gap between the second and third. And I felt really, really strong through that time and through that period. But I guess it's just amazing how life happens, you know, and you got to listen to the warning signs, because if you don't listen to the warning signs, that's what's going to happen. But yeah, so that was me. And for me, I never played college, but I guess the easiest way to explain it is like, I guess you've got the MLS, and then you've got like the district leagues or the state leagues, pretty much. So you've got like for South Australia, you've got 3 leagues, and I was playing the top division in that league. Managed to get 148 games, didn't make it to 150, and 1 goal as a defender. I'm proud of that. So yeah. What about yourself? Like, being a younger kid and going through all those injuries, you know, like that, from a mental perspective, that must have been quite challenging, quite hard.
Yeah. So I never had the major ligament tears, ACL, anything like that. The most major thing I had was a a fairly severe ankle sprain on my junior year. So I'm 22 now. So I would have been 19 or 20 when that happened. But I I my problems have been just chronic. So I mean, I first injury I can remember is I had a knee problem when I was 12 or 13 from some like IT band syndrome sort of quad issues, and that knocked me out for a season, which is a little bit devastating when you're like 12 years old. Um, but then since then, I probably had 8, 9, 10 years of just chronic ankle problems, and then so before my senior year, or I guess super senior year, it was pretty bad. So on the whatever, the inside of my ankle, below I think it's your talus, the inside of your ankle bone, I was having a ton of problems. Like I couldn't play, and so I got it MRI and I got the X-ray and everything, and they were like, yeah, you just both of your ankles just chronic grade 1 continuous sprains. Like they're not acutely sprained right now, but they're all of the ligaments in your ankle are chronically sprained. Um, and then you have tendonitis in your posterior tibial tendon. And I was like, well, what am I gonna do? So it's like, here's our orthopedic surgeon's card. And I was like, dude, my season starts in like 6 days. Like I can't have you go in there and just scrape off the inflammation and any of the scar tissues. Like it's not the answer. And then I mean hamstring strains, groin strains. I had a low back. I'm blanking on the phrase for it, but I had low back issues, and I mean some traps, some shoulder. I had I mean basically anything you can imagine. Most of it was
except for your head.
yeah, I've never had a concussion, knock on wood, but
Touch wood.
anything other than that. So I mean kind of opposing you, I was all muscular. I guess the ankle is going to be mainly tendons and ligaments just on the nature of the joint, but I was almost all muscular, and I think I would attribute it to, well, I had one of my teammates ask me a month or two back after we've been done, he's like, do you think if you knew what you know now, you would have had all these injuries? And I told him, I was like, there's a couple you can't avoid, like swinging to strike the ball and somebody sticking their stud in and his stud going half an inch into your foot. Like it's, no matter if I'm Charles Poliquin or not, like that's still gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I mean it's a little bit harder in a situation with yours, like the ligaments, but it's muscular injuries are significantly easier to prevent in my eyes. So I just, poor training, poor lifting, recovery techniques, pushing too hard. And then I also have, so my left leg is probably 2/3 of an inch. So I don't know what that is in centimeters. But like, I don't know, this much shorter than my right. So that, I mean, it'll cause some issues, but yeah, so for a long time, I was just a walking train wreck. Like I remember walking into the training room being like, all right, I know I'm gonna come out of here looking like a mummy. Like both my ankles are gonna be taped. At least one of my knees, if not both of my knees, are gonna get taped, and I might have a groin wrap or something on too. So it was like, this is a problem, and I never knew how to fix it. Like I tried whatever, any kind of program, powerlifting, any of the athletic programs online, tried all of it. I got strong. I mean, I was muscularly pretty strong, but doesn't matter how strong you are if you're hurt. Like we would test before the season, and I would consistently, almost all of the metrics jumping, sprinting, agility, even in things like the bench, at the top, if not the top, but just missed so much time with different things that it didn't matter at all. So that's why I'm here. I started ATG, and I've basically remedied everything. My ankle's 99% now. I haven't had a joint or a knee pain in about as long as I can remember since I started. And yeah, it's life changing for me, which is not something to throw around lightly, I guess, but totally changed everything for me.
Yeah, you can see it, like, and it's not just in those awesome Instagram videos you put up, but like you can actually see it. You can see it in your, like, in who you are as well. And I mean, Keegan talks about it a lot. Like, you can see his passion and his honesty and his transparency. Like, that's what I think a lot of people get from ATG. It's like they kind of give you a platform to work from, and it allows you to see the things that you actually need to do to be able to get where you want. But there's actually education behind it as well. And now for me and you, like, I know for myself, and I think I can speak on your behalf as well, like I thrive on that education and actually, like, okay, so I'm lifting this and it's doing this for me. Like, you know, that's what's happening. Whereas for your average person who just comes in and wants to do it to feel better, it's like, so I'm doing this, and then I'm kind of, this, if I keep doing this, this is where I'm gonna go. Whereas I think there's a lot of like miscommunication. Like, communication is massive. And I think if you are able to, I truly believe, if you're able to get people to understand through education exactly what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it and how then it transfers into what you're doing, whether it's sport, whether it's just pain or whatever it is, then you have like more of a buy-in and you actually want to do it more. And that's what I've noticed in starting it. And I'm sure that you just said that, with pains and aches and injuries and everything like that, like it's obviously transferred massively into who the person that you are right now. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, that's one of the things I heard Mark Bell was talking about the other day. It's we kind of live in this world where, like, I talk to you every week and I talk to all the other ATG guys who just love working out and are nerds for all the science behind it and different programming techniques. But most people, and I mean, these are Mark Bell's words, not mine, but it's most people are at odds with their body. Like, they think of it as something that they're working against. They're like, oh, that, of course my knee is hurting again. Or it's like, oh, this freaking shoulder. It's like people don't think of it as kind of one thing, and they understand like, oh, so I've never done external rotations before. Like, my shoulder is locked and I only bench press halfway down. There's like a different, I don't want to say a different group of people, but people with a different mindset than the people like you and I that just thrive on more information, please, like, just anything I can learn about the body. It's an interesting mindset to kind of convey a little bit of our enthusiasm to things to people who, yeah, I mean, again, are at odds with their body, that think of it as like the enemy, and we want to convey that it's not. Does that make sense?
We're thinking, we're just coming from a different perspective. Like, instead of being destructive, we want to be constructive. It's just a different way of thinking of it. So yeah, I get you, man. I get you. And I think it's just the more that we kind of portray this message and we send this message out to people, because we are actual, physical products of that product. So it's just like, you've been through it a completely different way to me. I've been through it a completely different way to you. And there's both sides of the spectrum and everything in between as well. And that's like, everything in between is like all these other people. So it's just about continuing to be that product of your product. And people will, like, there's always going to be like resistance. No matter what it is, there's always going to be resistance, and people aren't going to want to do it, or they're not going to be sure, but as long as we give them the options of be like, just, you can try and see how you go. Like, let's just try this way. Let's just try that. It's all about guiding people. One of my other mentors that I've been working with for a really long time, he just said, like, it's almost like a dance. You kind of got to, like, you're doing the steps and you're helping them just kind of get to where they need to go. And it's like, you're not forcing them anywhere, but it kind of has to be flowy. You got to just make it, yep, okay, cool, we're going here now. Like, and then you're just slowly trying to make your way through it. So yeah, it has been life-changing for me. It definitely has been life-changing doing everything that I'm doing. And well, when you don't have pain and you can do things that you want to do, I mean, that is in itself life-changing. Then there's everything else that comes on top of it.
Yeah, 'cause I remember playing and being whatever 18, 19, and just constant having whatever issues, knee, ankle, back, and being like, oh, and you can tell because it kind of wears on you when you're playing. Like you play a little bit different, or you don't make cuts as hard, and you kind of pull out of challenges. It's like, God, I wonder if everybody feels so crappy right now. It's like, well, eventually I learned, no, it was just me that felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah.
Not that I actually felt like I was gonna die, but like all the steps hurt. Like I didn't want to go upstairs after training, and not performing at a level that is significantly lower than you can play at is something that will wear on you mentally, especially if it goes on for a long time and people start to see you as a player like this level, and you're like, well, if you would just see me healthy, you would know I'm here. But
they see you as that
when
player.
you healthy, yeah.
Like they see you as being like, I was that player that would keep rupturing ACLs, and you're that player that continues to have like strains and tears and other little small niggly issues. Like you don't want to be like weighing up like which one do I want to be. It's like, no, I want to be that person that's healthy and that's fine.
Yeah, it's like nobody thinks of you as the guy that's good with the ball at his feet and he's fast. They're like, oh, that's the guy that has to spend 10 minutes warming up his ankles and then still pulls his hamstring. Yeah. You don't want to be that guy. But that's one of the great. I don't want to turn this into an ad for ATG, but I was talking with somebody, and it's interesting because if you take people in a normal job and like normal interview process, you're like, why do you want to work for Apple? They're like, oh, it's a multinational corporation and the opportunities to do deals and whatever. Like it's kind of garbage. But I know if you ask any of the ATG coaches, and I know it's the same for you and me and a whole bunch of the other guys, like, why do you want to do ATG stuff? First of all, very few people are actually making money directly from ATG. Like they're not a lot of people on ATG's payroll, but it's like, I was an athlete, I was hurt, had so many issues. Like I just don't want people to go through what I was doing. Like I want to help. It's interesting how different that is at ATG versus, and I imagine a lot of other trainers are like that, but I think it's really acute in our setting.
Yeah. I can agree, man. I can agree. We're going over half hour. What do you reckon? We'll call it a day.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, nice.
Anybody who's listening, appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, likewise. We've got to think of a name as well. Hey, what do you reckon? I mean, I love the name Wild Ones Podcast because I've had emus and kangaroos and cats, and you've had dogs and rabbits and whatever else is happening in the desert.
That's a swarm of bees now. Yeah.
We're going to think of a name. So maybe by the next one we'll have a name going, and we can have like this cool little, welcome to the Wild Ones Podcast or something like that. But anyway, in the meantime, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to cut the recording here. I don't know how to stop it actually.